If you are looking at buying or selling a home in St. Albert sometime in the next few months, then this video is for you, because I'm going to be looking at exactly what's been going on in the St. Albert real estate market using the most recent statistics available from the Realtors Association of Edmonton. So that's looking at the month of March. And we're going to start by looking at the market as a whole, so everything that's going on in St. Albert. Then we'll look at single family homes, and then we'll look at condos, because it's a different story depending on what part of the market you're in. So you'll want to make sure that you check this out. You can download a copy of this report for yourself just by looking for a link in the description below, and you can either download a PDF or view it on your web browser. So let's jump right into it, looking at the market as a whole. The average price in March for St. Albert was $486,154, which is up 0.73% from last month and up 9.85% from last year. This is the 13-month history over here. You can see that in February it said we had a 12.32% gain, and a pretty modest gain here in the average price for March. You have to take these numbers with a grain of salt though, because it depends what's selling, if there's condos or single family homes selling, but also if it's a more expensive property or a cheaper property. Now, if we look at the average price trend on a yearly basis, this is a little bit more accurate. The monthly basis one is a little bit all over the place for a smaller market like this. But if you look at it from a yearly basis, in 2021, the average price was up 7.55%. And so far for 2022, it's up 6.23%. So pretty strong growth so far. And if you compare that to Edmonton, St. Albert outperformed Edmonton in 2021, and it's also outperforming Edmonton in 2022. Now, if you look at the actual details here of the active and sold listings, at the end of the month, we had 131 active listings, and we had 112 sales throughout the month. So our active listings are down 0.76% from last month, so pretty much identical, and down 56.19% from last year. And the sales volume is up 14.29% from February and down 25.83% from March of last year. So this graph over here, looking at the green bars, you can see the gap between the number of sales and the number of active listings. And it's been a pretty strong market in St. Albert for all of the last year, essentially. But things got pretty crazy here in February and March. That green gap, like I said, represents that gap, and it's closed a lot. So we're selling properties pretty quickly. That puts us at an 85% listing absorption rate. So the odds of selling have increased by 15.17% compared to February, and 69% compared to last year. It's a pretty tight market. That's definitely going to put some upward pressure on prices in general. But it is interesting that the sales volume's actually down from last year. And again, if you've watched some of my other market update videos for some of the other communities around Edmonton, I believe that's because there's not enough supply. So I do think the demand is there. And if we had more inventory, more houses being listed for sale, that people would be buying them. But at a certain point, if you just don't have enough houses available for sale, those are sales that won't happen, and it starts to actually hurt your sales volume. So it sucks when you don't have enough inventory, because you could be making more sales, at least if you're an agent. But if there's low inventory, it can make it kind of tough, because you only have to work with what's available. And if you can't find something that works for your clients, or there's just not enough of them available, then maybe they don't buy something. So something to keep in mind. Now, if you look at the average days on market, it's 43 days for March. Which is the same as last month, and it's up a little bit from last year. It was at 39 last year. So things are moving pretty quick in St. Albert. Next, we're going to look at single family homes and then condo part of the market. But first, I just want to remind you that this gives you a good general overview of what's going on in the market. But the best thing to do is actually reach out to me directly at 780-819-5508. You can either text me or call me at that number, or you can email me at trevor@trevortardif.com, or go to booktrevornow.com, select the time on my calendar, and then I will call you. And then we can discuss strategy, depending on the price point that you're looking at, the areas of town, as well as even the types of properties that you're interested in. Whether you're buying or selling, it makes a big difference depending on what part of the market you're in, on what specific advice I'd give you. So I do recommend you reach out to me so I can give you some more specific guidance based on your situation. So let's jump over to single family homes. The average price of a single family home in St. Albert in March was $565,346, which was up 1.36% from February and up 16.69% from March of last year. So again, a modest gain in March compared to February. I'm seeing this across all the markets, including Edmonton and surrounding areas. We had a big jump in February, and then pretty modest jump in March. Even though the market's quite hot, So it'll be interesting to see what it's like here in April. But you know, you get some good gains, and then maybe it takes a while before people get comfortable going much higher for a while. So we did get a lot of pressure on price, but that does seem to have subsided a little bit so far. Now, if we look at the price for the year for single family homes, in 2021, we were up 6.21%, and so far for 2022, we're up 10.81%, just taking in those first 3 months of the year. So that'll continue to change each month as we have updated statistics, but so far it's definitely panning out to be a much stronger year than last year, and last year was pretty strong. You compare that to Edmonton, you can see that Edmonton technically outperformed St. Albert last year, but so far it looks like St. Albert's outperforming Edmonton on the average price for single family. Now, if you look at the actives and solds for single family, we had 61 actives at the end of the month, and we had 85 sales, so that's more sales than we have active. So the actives are down 4.69% from last month and down 64% from last year. And the solds are up 11.84% from last month and down 29% from last year. So again, it's clear here when you have no green left, no gap between sales and solds, because you're actually selling stuff faster than you can replenish it on a 30-day basis. That really constrains your inventory and starts to constrain your sales. So you don't see this very often. It's been a long time since this has happened in Edmonton and surrounding communities. So yeah, seller's market's not always great for everybody. Now the listing absorption rate's at 139%. So that's basically just taking, 85 is 139% of 61. So it's been over 100% for the last couple months here in St. Albert. We've got an average days on market of 38 days, which is technically up a day from last month and technically up a few days from last year, but you know, that's pretty low overall. And that's what it looks like for the single family home market. Now, if we jump over to condos, the average price of a condo that sold in St. Albert in March was $236,848, which is up 6.16% from last month and down 15.44% from last year. This is going to be all over the place because it depends on what types of condos are selling, if they're apartments or townhouses, and there's not a whole lot of activity. So take those numbers with a grain of salt. Condos in St. Albert in 2021 were up 14.3%. And so far, it looks like they're down 16.95% for 2022. That tells me that more than likely it's just because we've got more apartment condos or smaller condos that are selling so far in the year, so it's making the numbers look lower. Now, if we jump over to actives and solds, you can see that there's 70 active listings right now, and there's 27 solds in the month of March. So the actives are up a little bit, almost 3% from February, but down 44% from last year. And the solds are up 22.73% from last month, but down 12.9% from last year. So you can see with the green gap here that it's a much more balanced market. A little bit closer to being a buyer's market for the condos in St. Albert, but it has picked up a little bit in the last couple months. So the sales volume has increased from last month, but it's still down from last year, which is interesting. It might still be related. It's only down a little bit, like if we're talking about a handful of sales difference essentially, but we have substantially less inventory than we did last year. So makes it a much different balance to the market. Even though you have pretty much the same number of sales for condos, there's so much less inventory, so that does make it a little bit tighter and more competitive for buyers. But much different story for single family homes versus condos. So we're sitting at a 38% listing absorption rate here for condos. So your chances of selling increased 19% compared to last month, and they increased 56% compared to last year. You can just kind of see how that played out over the last 13 months here. So the market for condos is getting stronger in St. Albert. Average days on market was sitting at 56 days, and homes are selling 13.85% faster compared to February, when the average was 65 days. But it's technically a little bit slower compared to last year when we were at 54 days. So that's it for the condos. Hope that was useful for you. If you liked this video, make sure to like and subscribe. You can check out some other videos here for other market updates. And of course, if you want to make sure you never miss another video, make sure to subscribe, and I will see you on the next video. Thanks so much for watching.